Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Star Citizen. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for joining me for a brand new Star Citizen video. And here is day 2 of the IAE 2951, and day 2 is the day of Roberts Space Industries, or RSI. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into day 2 of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo at the Tobin Center here on New Babbage on Microtech. So if you guys are new to Star Citizen, just a word of caution. You guys don't need to buy any of these ships with your own real money. All you need to play Star Citizen is just a small, cheap starter ship with a game package. And that is it. You can earn every single one of these ships in-game, either right now in the alpha or eventually when the game comes out. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and look through what RSI has to offer. This is my third attempt at recording this this video, guys, because the frame rates were so bad. Like, literally, at one point, the frame rates were at 4 frames per second. Literally at 4 frames per second. It was like a slideshow. So this is my third attempt at recording this video. Hopefully the frame rates will remain steady. So starting off here, we're amongst the giants, the RSI Constellations. So the RSI Constellation has 4 variants, and the base model is this one. This is the Andromeda. This is the RSI Constellation Andromeda, and that ship right there was the original Star Citizen multi-crew ship. So if you wanted a multi-crew ship, chances are, 7-8 years ago, chances are you would have been interested in picking up one of these. Yours truly also had one of these, but I no longer have one. I upgraded mine, and the constellations are a little bit difficult to define. So I'll just go ahead and give you a pros and cons list for the Constellation Andromeda first. So the good things about this ship is that it's comfortable, it's roomy, it has plenty of room, it has plenty of cargo space, it has 2 entry and exit methods into the ship. It's really nicely armed. It has a boatload of missiles. It has some nice firepower. The ship is very comfortable, but there are some really big negatives, big no-nos about this ship as well. One, it is too large. Like, the ship is literally very, very big for what it's supposed to do. It feels like they've added on a lot more to this ship that is really needed. Like, it's bigger than what it needs to be. For example, the engines, the engine nacelles, like if you have a look, there's 4 different engines, 4 different thrusters, I should say. And they're spaced out so much that it makes the ship feel bulky. It makes the ship slow and bulky and cumbersome. So that's one major problem with the Constellations. Second problem that I have encountered in the Constellations, so that applies to all of the Constellations, is that the landing gear is centered behind the center of gravity. So the center of gravity of the ship is somewhere here, just in front of the docking collar, but the landing gear is behind the center of gravity. So when you land, what happens is the front of the ship tips forward. As you land, as you touch down, the front of the ship tips forward, hits the ground. I've literally had my Constellation break down this bit right here. I've hit the ground so hard that the nose just tipped over, hit the ground, and the ship broke in half through here. So yeah, the ship is roomy, it's comfortable, it's got plenty of cargo space, it can transport a ground vehicle, and of course it has a snub ship. So all the Constellations pretty much come with a P-51 Merlin snub ship. So that's there as well. It can support a maximum crew of 4, and it's a comfortable ship. But the only problem it has is that it is too big for its intended role. And also, there are better ships out there. For a similar price range, there are ships out there that do what the Constellation does, but they do it better. And they also offer additional gameplay as well, something like the Mercury Star Runner. The Mercury Star Runner is, in my opinion, better than the Constellation Andromeda in every single aspect. That's the problem with the Constellations. That's one of the problems with the Constellations, because let's be very honest, the Constellations are old. These are very old ships. These aren't new ships. So Constellation Andromeda, would I recommend it to anybody? Probably not. Probably not. Although these are really nice ships, they're good ships. As I said, they're comfortable, they're roomy, but there are, as I said, other ships that do what the Constellation Andromeda does, and they do it better. So I can't really recommend the Constellation Andromeda. Now here's another Constellation variant, and this is the Constellation Taurus. The Constellation Taurus is a cargo holding variant of the Andromeda. So this thing has a bigger cargo hold. It has more cargo space, and that is about it. That is literally about it in terms of their differences that I can see. But it still has the same problems as the Andromeda. Now, I still can't recommend the Taurus as well, because if you're after a cargo ship of this price range, you can pay a little bit more and get a Caterpillar. The Caterpillar is so much better than the Constellation Taurus. You can literally carry almost 3 times the amount of cargo. It's modular, and it's just a better ship. It's just a better cargo carrying ship. It is just a better ship overall than the Constellation Taurus. Now you can also buy either the hull B or the hull C. If you pay a little bit more than the Constellation Taurus, you can get into a hull C, and that is like literally 20 times the amount of cargo, or even the hull B, which is a lot cheaper than the Constellation Taurus, and you can still get more cargo than the Constellation Taurus. So it's very difficult to recommend any of the Constellations. As I said, they're good ships, they're comfortable ships, but there are ships out there that do the job better than they do. And here is the Constellation Phoenix. So the Constellation Phoenix is super rare. It is a luxury version of the Constellations, and literally when this thing goes on sale, because it's a hull limited ship, so only a limited number of these of the Phoenix is sold, they run out really quickly. People buy these like hotcakes. Literally, it's gone within seconds. Now, I have a video on the channel about the Constellation Phoenix. To me, it's a little odd, because the Constellation platform isn't designed for luxury, and it's difficult to try and fit luxury into a platform that isn't really designed for luxury. It's like a budget luxury. Now, if you wanted to do the whole luxury ship gameplay, VIP transport, blah blah blah, there are better ships out there that do that. They're more expensive than the Phoenix, having said that, but they do it better, like the 600i, for example, or the 890 Jump. The 890 Jump. So, again, Constellation Phoenix, unless of course you buy it for yourself, just as a personal transport. And another problem with the Constellations, guys, is the struts. Just have a look at the front of the cockpit. Like, why? Why on God's earth do we have all these struts in front of the cockpit glass? I mean, seriously. The view isn't bad. It actually has pretty nice view off the side and the top and bottom, but it could be better. It could be better. Now, moving on to the last constellation, the second most expensive constellation after the Phoenix, is the Constellation Aquila. This is the exploration, the pathfinding ship. So this one is designed to be an explorer. I think this was the first exploration ship in the game, if I'm not mistaken. So this is designed for exploration, literally exactly the same as the other constellations, except for the front of the cockpit is different. It's rounded out. It also will have an upgraded electronic suite, like more avionics for exploration, more scanners, more computers to do with scanning. But however, we still don't know what kind of equipment the Constellation Aquila has. if it's good at scanning, if it's good at exploration, what type of exploration can it do, what it can't do. So it's very difficult to judge how good this ship is in exploration. Nonetheless, if I were to recommend a constellation out of all of the four here, it will be the Aquila. It will be the Aquila. That front cockpit, the rounded out cockpit of the Aquila, just is so much better than the others. And if and when the exploration gameplay is in, this won't be a bad explorer, in my opinion. This won't be a bad explorer. Of course, with the Constellation, one of the pluses for the Constellations is the extended range. This ship has a lot of fuel. So it won't be bad at long expeditions. So these are the Constellations. Can't really recommend them, except for maybe the Aquila, but that still remains to be seen. Now let's go ahead and check out the side hulls. Let's see some of the RSI smaller ships. Alright guys, welcome to side hull number 2. So here are RSI's, Roberts Space Industries, Auroras. So before we get into the Auroras, let's go ahead and just briefly touch on the RSI Mantis, the ship right here. Now I've done a video on this on my channel. You guys can go ahead and have a look at that. But the RSI Mantis is one of those ships that is highly specialized. This thing is a tool. it's pretty much a tool used to get a single job done. It has one functionality and one purpose only, and that is to ambush people. That this thing is designed to pull people out of quantum travel and keep them there. It has no other use, it has no other purpose except for that and that only. And that's why I can't really recommend this ship, unless of course you're playing with a bunch of friends, you're in an org and you guys are into ambushing people, whether you're in a pirate org, whether you're in a mercenary org. You gotta have friends. If you buy this ship and you intend to pull people out of quantum travel, you need to have friends with you. Otherwise, this thing is just gonna get blown up. This thing has no armor, it has no armament. It's just a sitting duck. It's a sitting duck that can do one thing and one thing only, and that is to interrupt and interdict quantum travel. So I can't really recommend that. Now moving on to the just forgot the name. I just said it. Aurora. Yeah, the Auroras. Now, I'm going to go ahead and confess something to you guys. I have never owned an Aurora. I probably will never own an Aurora. And I've never flown an Aurora. So, these little guys were the quintessential starter ships. In fact, they are the cheapest starter ships that you can get into in the game. Now, there's nothing wrong with a starter ship. So when people have a misconception when you say starter ship, everybody's like, oh, there must be something wrong with it. It's a cheap, useless ship. No, it isn't. It isn't. Now the Auroras, just based on my own limited knowledge, there are a couple of different variants. So for example, this one is the LN. This is the light fighter. So if you do end up going for one of these starter ships, which is what I recommend you guys do, not these particular starter ships, not an Aurora. There are better starter ships out there, which I will point out to you guys in the subsequent days. But if you do decide to go for an Aurora as a starter ship, pick one that has a cargo capacity. So don't go for the fighter, unless of course you're really into fighting. Otherwise, pick one that, obviously all of them have guns, right? All of them have missiles and guns, but pick one that has missiles and guns and some space for cargo. So that was the fighter. This one is light fighter, the MR. So all of them are pretty much single seat. This is the LX Pathfinder, so exploration type ship. I would highly recommend, highly recommend you guys watch more YouTube videos before you pick an Aurora. I'm not the guy to give you advice on the Auroras, but I highly recommend before you make the decision of picking one up for your starter ship, if you do decide to go for an Aurora, look up some YouTube videos, and my recommendation would be to find one that can carry some cargo as well. So what is this one? This is the Aurora ES Pathfinder again. Explorer. What is this one? This is the Aurora CL, light freight. Yes, there you go. This one. This is what I would recommend as a starter ship if you are intent on buying an Aurora as a starter ship. Now keep in mind there are much better starter ships out there than the Aurora, but the Aurora will probably be the cheapest. So this thing can carry some cargo underneath here. It's where it can carry a box or two of cargo, and it's just the ability to carry cargo just gives you more options for gameplay. That is all. But this thing still has guns, probably has missiles, so you can do both. You can do cargo and of course some bit of combat as well. But of course it is up to you guys. It is up to you to make that decision. But generally the RSI Mantis I don't recommend. So forget about the RSI Mantis. Forget about it. If you want to own one, earn one in game. Don't waste your money on the Mantis. But for the Auroras, I would say don't buy the Aurora starter ships. But if you must buy an Aurora and that's what you're looking for, that's what's in your price range, go for an Aurora that has cargo carrying capacity as well as combat capability as well. Alright guys, welcome to the underground section of the showroom, the show floor, the convention center, whatever you want to call it. So these are ground vehicles. These are RSI Ursa Rovers. Now I really like the Ursa Rover. The Ursa Rover, in my opinion, is one of the best designed ground vehicles in game. This thing can do it all. It can carry some cargo, it can carry some friends, it can carry yourself, obviously, from point A to point B. So these seats here fold out. So they fold out. You can sit, have people sit here, or you can retract the seats and carry cargo in here. This thing is a really nice ground vehicle. Like, it is beyond the expectation of the details inside the ground vehicle. Of course, the gun racks and everything. This thing is just good. It's really nice. It's really nice. It's got a gun on the top as well. You've got a couple of different doors. It's just a really nice ground vehicle. Now, do I recommend you guys go buy this? Absolutely not. Again, there's no point in wasting your money on something that you can very easily earn in game. These are very easily attained in game right now, even in the alpha. Like, you could buy an Ursa Rover with just doing a couple of box missions. You can literally own one of these by doing like 3 or 4 box missions, and that's it. You can get an Ursa Rover in game. You really don't have to go out and pay. I'm not sure how much they even cost, but it's probably like $50, $50, $55, something like that, $40. There's no point in you wasting your $50 on a ground vehicle that you can easily obtain in game later on. Now imagine buying 3 or 4 ground vehicles. Even though they might be great, they might be very useful, but imagine like buying 3 or 4 of these and you've spent like around $200. You spent $200 on one of these. You could literally for $200 buy a ship which has a lot more functionality than one of these little ground vehicles, one or two of these ground vehicles. So just keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and move to the holo table section of the showroom. So this is where the ships are shown that aren't game ready yet. They're not built yet, they're not finished yet. So without further ado, this is the RSI Polaris. This is a Corvette. This thing is amazing, and yours truly owns one. So I own one of these. I really wanted one when it came out a long time ago. This thing is absolutely fascinating. This is one of the ships that I'm looking forward to the most in game. This is literally what I'm looking forward to the most. So can I recommend this ship? Absolutely. If you're into fighting, if you're into combat, if you're into capital class ship-to-ship combat, you can look no further than the RSI Polaris. This thing is great. Now, what makes it so great? So this thing can carry a small-sized fighter. This thing can literally carry a Super Hornet, a Sabre, a Gladius, whatever. And this thing can fire size 10 torpedoes. Yes, this thing is like a submarine. Or like a guided missile cruiser. So this thing will rely on its speed and its torpedoes to destroy capital class ships. So this is the true essence of a capital ship killer. This thing is the capital ship killer. And from the front, it looks like a snake. Just have a look. This thing looks like a snake. This thing is designed to stay out of combat, set its eyes fixed on a particular capital ship, close in, fire a ridiculous amount of size 10 torpedoes, take out the capital ship, and it just fly away. And of course, one of these could act as a base as well. You could use one of these if you're not into, buying more expensive ships. You can use one of these as your base as well. So I can't recommend the RSI Polaris enough. If you're into, as I said, combat, if you're into capital class combat, this ship will be deadly. It will be the most deadliest ship out there against capital class vessels. Moving on, here is the Polaris's younger brother. This is the RSI Perseus. So this is a gunship. And I also own a Perseus as well. So I have the Polaris and the Perseus, and I'm intending on using them both in conjunction together. So I've already done a detailed look of the Perseus. Again, it's a ship that is not ready. It's not in game yet. It's out there in concept only. Now, the Perseus is significantly smaller than the Polaris. So don't let the looks fool you. This thing is a little bit smaller. So this thing, in terms of size, they said it will be somewhere, just something smaller than the Carrack. So it's not a really large ship. It's huge. It's a large ship, but it's not like a crazy, gigantic size ship. It has 2 turrets, one on the top, one on the bottom, with its main guns, which are going to be size 7s. Now, if you guys want to get my full opinion on the Perseus, you can go ahead and watch my video on the Perseus. But I just wish that the guns were size 9s or size 8s instead of the size 7s, because literally the Perseus has the same amount of firepower as 4 Ares starfighters, literally. Now that's a lot of firepower. I'm not saying that's not enough, but I think this ship needs to have a little bit more oomph, a little bit more, alpha, a little bit more punch for what it says it does. The ship looks good. Like this ship, right? Like if you look at it straight on, it looks absolutely menacing. It looks very, very menacing, and I'm really looking forward to the Perseus as well. Now, this ship is perfect. It is literally perfect for patrolling a system like Pyro. The Perseus has enough fuel, has enough range to probably traverse a large system, large desolate system like Pyro, probably 2 or 3 times. So this thing is perfect for patrolling somewhere like Pyro. Okay, now if you combine this with a Polaris, with a Hammerhead, you're starting to build a really nice fleet. So this thing's weak point. Now I promise I'm not gonna blabber on about the Perseus, because I can sit here literally for the next 2 hours and just talk about the Perseus. In fact, if you guys want me to do that, I can make a second video on the Perseus where we can talk about it even more. But this thing's weak point is fighters. So those size 7 guns, the turrets, probably won't be able to hit a fighter. So a couple of starfighters come to attack the Perseus is in deep trouble. In big trouble, because those size 7 turrets aren't going to shoot down a fighter. Unless, of course, the pilot of the fighter is brain dead and isn't moving, isn't maneuvering, then yeah, sure. The Perseus can get a hit on the fighter as well. Now it has two smaller automated turrets, one on the top, and I believe another one here. Yes. So these 2 turrets, these 2 Gatling gun automated turrets, in my opinion, need to need to put more of these on the ship, so the ship can have more defense against incoming missiles or fighters. As it stands right now, like imagine a ship is coming directly like this towards the Perseus. There's not much you can do really. Now the ship also has size 5 torpedoes. Now I said that in the video, I'm going to say it again here. We don't know how good size 5 torpedoes are. Could you use a size 5 torpedo against a fighter? Still don't know. We don't know what they intend size 5 missiles or torpedoes to be. Are they big enough to hurt a larger ship? I'm not sure. These are all the questions that still stand. But do I recommend the RSI Perseus? Yes, I could say I could recommend this ship if you're into combat, if you're into fighting, if you're into larger ship to ship fighting, then definitely yes, this is a good ship. Now it might have some problems, it might have some weaknesses, but that's probably what's intended for it to be. Like this is a video game. They're not trying to build the perfect ship, the most overpowered ship ever. So the ship has to be balanced somehow, right? It has to have strong points, it has to have weak points. Now, the ship will be really good against like larger ships that are of the same size or probably just slightly bigger, but it will definitely struggle against the super large ships. So, would I recommend this ship? Yes. I could recommend this ship, but only if you have some friends to play with, if you have some org mates to play with, then yeah, this ship is pretty good. Moving on, what is the next one? Alright, RSI Scorpius. So I've done a video on this as well. This is the small fighter. Now literally this ship, the Scorpius, is designed to fit inside an RSI Polaris. This is literally designed for that, I think. Now this is a bit of a speculation, but I think literally this is designed to fold its wings and sit down inside a Polaris. Now this ship, guys, this small fighter, this twin seat fighter, is probably one of the hardest hitting medium-sized fighters out there. This thing will have 8 size 3. Yeah, you heard that correct, guys. 8 size 3 forward-facing guns. This thing is crazy armed, and it looks really good too. It's got that X-wing profile, and of course, if you put one in the Polaris, put one of these in the Polaris, you're going to really increase your lethality in the Polaris. Do I recommend the Scorpius? Yes. If you're into combat ships, this is probably one of the best medium-sized fighters. If you're looking for a heavy fighter, not really. This thing isn't supposed to be really well armed. It's a glass cannon, kind of. If you're looking for a heavy fighter, something like the Ares Inferno or Ares Ion would probably be better. So thank you so much for watching day 2 of the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found this video entertaining and somewhat informative. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in day 3. Until then, please take care and bye-bye.